What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. It's a long one today, a little bit, because there's a lot of stuff happening over the last 48 hours. We've gotten a lot of news. Let's start with Ascapol and Mr. Matt Laslo, who is a three-time guest on the show. He announced two different hearings. One is from Kirsten Gillibrand, which is going to be on the Senate. The hope is that the Arrow director is part of it. I told you on Monday that we would have announcements either this week or next week, or we wouldn't have announcements at all. So just the day after, we got them. Then I'm going to play Kirsten Gillibrand right here.
It's a priority for me because I think it's very important that we continue to make things publicly available, give a progress report on how many unidentified aerial phenomena we've assessed and analyzed, give examples of what we have identified, and give examples of what we haven't identified so that the community can be kept up to speed about what we're actually doing and what this office is doing. We also want to try to continue to build credibility within this office so more of the public can feed in sightings and have a place and a platform to send information and inquiries, because that's eventually what this office is supposed to do.
Then we got Congresswoman Luna talking to Laslo too, confirming what he told me, that Nancy Mace was going to be the chairwoman on the hearings in Congress. We still don't know specifics about that, but we know that there's going to be a potential new whistleblower come forward, and potentially the hearings are going to be at the end of this month. So someone is on a hurry. That's one. Hearings, y'all. That's awesome. I'm going to keep telling you guys to keep calling your representatives, anybody who's in America, so you guys can keep pressing them. Also, today is 9/11, so I want to commemorate the loss of thousands of people on September 11, 2001. Just a little moment of silence. Okay, to anybody who lost a loved one, my condolences. And let's hope that we can become a better world by spreading information that is positive and that can help humanity keep moving forward. So yeah, moving on. There's a tweet from Mr. Stephen Diener from Unidentified Alien Podcast. I was on his show a little while ago, and we spoke about the Nazca Mummies, but this tweet pretty much sums up the last 48 hours. Here it goes. Steven says, "So let me see if I have the past 24 hours straight. Cops have been told how to handle a UFO invasion." That's true. Jay Stratton is coming out with a tell-all book. Plasma bubbles are over the pyramids. Dick Cheney is the disclosure gatekeeper. Nancy Mace will head the new Congressional UAP committee. Lou will be there to testify under oath. And Robert J. O'Neill teased that the U.S. teleported MH370 as a show of force to China. Did I miss anything? Okay, so two of those, the MH370 and the one about Lou potentially testifying, those are not confirmed like 100%. So we're going to have to leave those alone for a minute, because I'm going to reserve my opinion until later, until more data is available. But the others we can tackle. There's this guide that I initially thought it was a joke, to be honest with you. It's from the Major Cities Chiefs Association, which is the association where all the police departments are like together. They are offering since June a reference guide on how to handle UAP reports or encounters. I thought it was a joke at the beginning, to be honest with you, but no, it's a very thorough guide that you can find online. I'm going to leave it in the description, though, obviously. But it has sections. Section 1 is UAP in the news, which is the most prominent news outlets talking about the subject. They offer 3 different examples. The many sightings from the West, the alleged spy balloons, which only one of them was confirmed to be a Chinese spy balloon, and Tim Gallaudet's account of the underwater capabilities of these USOs. Those are the 3 ones that they chose. Then, the section 2 is law enforcement considerations. They have unknown threat to public safety, aviation safety, and UAP related calls for service. The number 3 is U.S. government UAP programs, and they go through a list of all the programs that have existed until today, which is Arrow, that have studied UFOs. They talk about the UAPTF, they talk about ATIP, OSAP, they include both, and Arrow, Project Blue Book, Project Saucer, all the classics. So this is very thorough. Then the section 4 talks about whistleblowers. And this talks about the congressional UAP hearing, talks about David Grusch, Commander Fravor, Ryan Graves, and how they spoke to Congress about all of this. Then they talk about the UAPTF and the bipartisanship that exists in this effort from both sides of the aisle, who's leading the efforts, and yes, the legislation, which is up to a vote in November. So be aware of that. Now, Section 6 talks about Arrow and the UAPTF and the role so far in UAP disclosure. Section 7, other U.S. government and international reporting. They talk about details of different countries who have reported this for a while. I found it interesting that they're not including Mexico. To those who don't know, my country recently proposed laws to protect airspace. It's not just the mummies that are being talked about in Congress. Initially and originally, there was only going to be a hearing about protecting airspace. But then Mr. Maussan came out with the bodies and everything, and you know how the rest went. But I find it interesting that they're not mentioning Mexico at all. They mention France, they mention Canada, they mention the United Kingdom, and that's about it. I wonder why they did that. Then they talk about NASA Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Independent Study, which is pretty flat, if you ask me. I'm pretty sure NASA is holding on to information. This is my interpretation. I'm not confirming or denying anything, so make of that what you will. Then they talk about Section 9, UAP and the FAA, which is the Federal Aviation Administration. This is what Mr. Ryan Graves has been fighting so hard to make the public aware of, which is protecting airspace. Then Section 10, UAP reporting mechanisms, which is one of the most important ones that I think every law enforcement official should be aware of. So it goes like this. For the public, commercial pilots, and controllers, the first one is National UFO Reporting Center, which is the most important reporting center in the world. You can go online and file your report with details, photographs, videos. It's called NUFORC. That's the number one, and I think that's a good call. Then there's the National Aviation Reporting Center on Anomalous Phenomena. Then there's MUFON, which is one of the most, the oldest reporting tools and organizations of independent UFO researching in the world. So they put it there. Well deserved. Then there's the Aviation Safety Reporting System. And for government and military personnel, U.S. government UAP related program and activity reporting. which comes from Aero, and the Aviation Safety Communique, SAFECOM. That's for mainly pilots. Section 11 is the key takeaways. But man, this is so thorough that I encourage you guys to go check it out in the description. This is what's being given to law enforcement, pilots, airmen, air people, everybody within the U.S. government who could come across either people who report it or these objects themselves. They're given this, which I think is a brilliant idea and one of the most important news of the year, in my opinion, for the topic. Because this means that the Major Cities Chiefs Association is taking this extremely seriously. And people in law enforcement are already all aware that these sightings are happening all over the world, not just the country. So this is a major step in the right direction, folks. And I applaud everyone involved in this. And you should too. So that's another one. That's the most important in my opinion. I think that the Jay Stratton coming out with the book, there's a lot of confusion in there. Later today, we're going to get a Need to Know episode with Ross and Bryce. They interviewed Lou. And I was on a space last night with the Astral on Twitter, who is a good buddy. And he works with Lou and with Bryce Sable on Need to Know. He works with them editing. And he revealed to us, he teased us with this episode. He told us that they addressed a lot of these issues. And he also told us that Lou Elizondo spoke to Jay yesterday and that they speak often. They're not on bad terms. So anybody who keeps saying this, I find it really confusing because there's clearly someone who wants to obfuscate the whole narrative. Based on what I heard yesterday, from the Astral, it is not Jay Stratton. It is not Lou Elizondo. So who is it? I would love to know. I don't want to make any assumptions, but there's one name that keeps coming up and who is related to these two. And I'm not going to say it, but all I'm going to say is that I don't think the copyright strikes that Patrick got on Vetted were a coincidence right after he mentioned that name. And I think that is extremely concerning because if this is the person that they're talking about, it means that this person has a lot of rights to a lot of this material. Legally, he can do all of these things like copyright strikes and everything. And I think that this person, if they are doing this against people who are good people within the community and pinning people against each other, I think that there needs to be an effort to kick this person out of the community, to be honest with you, because they're not doing any good. They're just creating division. And I think that needs to stop. And that's all I'm going to say about it because I don't want to get in trouble. I have nothing against this person. I just think their name keeps coming up. And I think they're involved in this obfuscation that keeps coming up. If they're not, they can easily go out in public and set the record straight and all that. But I don't think they will. They've been in the background for a long time, not talking to anybody. And when they did talk to someone and somebody published it, stuff happened. So, yeah. And so, to close, Patrick did a wonderful live stream on Vetted about the Dick Cheney being the disclosure gatekeeper. I would ask you guys to go watch Patrick's live stream. It's amazing. It is very detail oriented. It has some nuggets that nobody else has covered. So it has to do with David Grusch telling an interviewer a while ago for a newspaper that Dick Cheney was the person up top. And when I heard that the first time, I was like, I'm not surprised, because he's been at the top of my list of the main gatekeepers alongside George Bush Sr. And I think and Donald Rumsfeld and Henry Kissinger too. And I think that it is not surprising that Mr. Cheney is at the very top. I'm glad his name is coming out now, so people can start asking him questions about this. Because as you have seen from this episode, things are getting serious already based on the report that I just showed you, and based on all the congressional hearings and the Senate hearings that are coming out, and the UAPDA. So the time is running out for people like Mr. Cheney. So he needs to come forward and come clean. It would be ideal if it came on Congress and testified. I don't think he will. But I'm glad his name is already being brought up. Because we need answers from you. And also from Bush. And also from everybody else involved. But now that your name is at the top, come out. Speak up. You have time to come clean so the punishment is not as severe as it will be when we find out you were really at the top of this. Come out, wherever you are. So, the last part of my video will be about the mummies. I got a mummy update. Yesterday, right after I released my video, I saw a comment from one of the Psicoactivo followers who told me that Mr. Steve Mera just came out with another video about the mummies. And the title is pretty evident. It's the biggest hoax of the 21st century. And we all know that Mr. Mera has a couple of videos debunking the mummies. One of the main red flags that I found when I started trying to investigate this was that pretty much every talking point from that first video he did, the people who are like dead set on that the mummies are fake are just regurgitating what he says. That made me think, are they all talking to Mera and associates about this? Because people within the UFO community really trust him and they regard him in high standard. So I wonder, all of these people who have spoken to me and have accused me of being part of the Maussan machine, accused me of being corrupt, they have accused me of making content for money out of people's tragedies and defamed my name just because I'm trying to cover an interesting case, which I still don't know what they are. I just think they're interesting and they deserve coverage. But all of these highbrow podcasters and highbrow people who only want to talk about the politics of UFOs, and they think they're better than the rest of us, and they treat others with utter disrespect. They talk to them as if they were stupid just because they want to talk about the mummies. I always wonder, what do you know that we don't? And why won't you share it? You just go out and just say, these are hoaxes. They're made from child's bones, from animal bones. They're committing crimes. They're misappropriating Peruvian culture artifacts. A lot of really grave and serious accusations that if you do those accusations, you don't have proof. You can get in like real deep, serious legal trouble if you accuse someone that you don't know. And Mr. Mera here is making an accusation against Thierry Jamin, saying that he was blackmailed by Thierry, that he received death threats, not by Thierry, but I presume that he meant the Huaqueros. And he's accusing Thierry of basically a hoaxer, being a hoaxer. He also talks about Jaime being a hoaxer. And some of these accusations are very serious. So when I realized that Thierry was already on this, I saw that he commented on underneath Mera's video, which Mr. Mera, I think, silenced or blocked Thierry. So A lot of people can't see Thierry's comment, but I'll read it for you. I don't mind. I'm just gonna avoid the last part, which is an ad hominem, and I don't agree with that. I'm going to respectfully ask Mr. Thierry Jamin to refrain from using ad hominem, because that's going down to their level, and I don't think you want to do that, sir. Granted, I commend Mr. Mera for not using ad hominem at all. Like, he's always very respectful. He makes claims and accusations, though, that are very concerning, but he's always very respectful in his discourse. So I want to commend him for that. I think that is what we need. If we're going to debate this stuff, we have to do it respectfully, folks. We can't do it out of anger or reactionary. That can't happen. This is not the way to move the conversation forward. I would just ask Mr. Mera if he has seen all of the new evidence that has come forward, because most of the evidence, if not all, that he has presented is from 2017. It's not new. And pretty much all of the evidence he has presented is the same evidence that the Ministry of Culture has presented. And the majority of people who have looked at the case, but at the science that people who are involved in this have looked at, do not agree with the Ministry of Culture's assessments. I know that there's a group where Professor Stephen Brown is leading it, where they're coming to the conclusion that the small bodies are potentially ancient reconstructions. There's a problem with that because Dr. Piotti is talking to me constantly, and he's convinced that these smaller bodies are real. I have something new for you to hear. I will present audio evidence in the future, which I'm working on right now. I am thinking about doing an animation of the first time Dr. Celestino Piotti describes he was the one who sighted one of these small beings in the 1990s. He makes a thorough and very detailed description of the sighting. That's what's convinced him that these little bodies are real, because he saw one of those. And he claims that as soon as the little being realized that he was being seen by Dr. Piotti, it just jetted off and disappeared. I am going to present this audio eventually, because I'm working on it right now. Gonzalo Chavez is helping me with this, and Stephanie Carrillo is helping me with this as well. So shout out to both of them. There are evidently two different narratives with the bodies. So this is the comment Thierry Jamin left on Mr. Steve Mera's YouTube. Thierry says, Steve Mera was convinced of the authenticity of the non-human Nazca mummies until I rejected his proposal to collaborate exclusively with him and his colleagues at the Sohar Stargate Audiovisual Company. I can provide a copy of the contract they offered me at the time. It was late 2017, early 2018. Obviously, as I refused his proposal out of spite, he then flipped to become a detractor of the story, which is, however, 100% real. It's very easy to prove all of this. Before they were offered the contract, Mera had made a documentary proving the authenticity of the Nazca mummies. Then, after we had rejected the fabulous offer, quote unquote, Mera made a second documentary, the one that talks about in this video, to debunk this incredible affair. So bravo for your professionalism, Mr. Mera. Thierry Jamin. Then we have another comment from Joyce Mantilla, who says, this Mr. Mera froze 5 years ago. Are you unaware that in April of this year, 3 prominent North American forensic experts have verified the bodies of Maria Montserrat Santiago and Sebastian with tomography and fluoroscopy and have not found any evidence of alterations in the hands and feet? Do you ignore it, Mr. Mera, or do you prefer to not know? Are you more qualified than an archaeologist and a forensic pathologist, or the founder of the United States Academy of Forensic Sciences, Dr. John McDowell? Are your capabilities superior to the doctor I present to you in this video? Dr. Mirko Tello has been president of the Peruvian Society of Microsurgery and Hand Reconstruction for 25 years of experience and has not found any manipulation, cuts, or added bones. Please stop promoting your old documentaries that are no longer current. Get informed, update your data and your audience. Okay, so the last part I'm going to show is a response from Mr. Mera, because it is only fair that we show the public what Mr. Mera talks about. First, he says, yes, I am aware of this and more. I'm happy with our conclusion to our investigation. And working alongside Moscow State University anthropology professors, Paris University Anthropology Department, and Lima University, I have no issues in what people wish to believe. Only that I air my own opinion. As for Thierry, he keeps saying the same old thing over and over. And that's okay too. So much lies and disinformation around this particular area of the subject. But hey, at least it creates diversity, and it would be pretty boring with it. Many thanks. Okay, so Thierry Jamin responds to Mr. David Haight's publication on the Facebook group Anomalies Are Us, where he talks about the message he sent on YouTube. And Thierry, he says, Dear David, indeed, I am quite surprised to find that my comments are systematically deleted by Monsieur Mera. Does the truth scare him so much? This is his idea of truth and journalism? And then Steve responded, Truth, lol. I noticed though, I mentioned in videos how you blackmailed us for $1,000 on our second visit there, which had been all arranged with you and your team. There are many that can confirm this, and even the wiring of money directly to you. Yet, you never address this. Truth, you say, oh dear. Like always, these conversations go round and round and are counterproductive and quite frankly, draining. Thierry responded, at our request indeed, you contributed to our research and analysis. And frankly, that was the least you could do. There's nothing hidden about it. And there is nothing to do with any kind of blackmail. This is ridiculous. I'm gonna avoid ad hominem, people. You have every right to believe or not believe in the authenticity of these mummies. But the facts you relate are totally distorted and, as far as I'm concerned, border on defamation. I think that if we had accepted your famous exclusive collaboration contract, you would have had a different version of events. Institute Inquiry is a non-profit organization. Only the truth matters. You wanted to make money with this story. There is a big difference. The facts you relate in your video are pure science fiction. Blackmail, death threats, and so on. Do you think you're in the Wild West? This contract is available to all internet users who request it. We, dear Mr. Mera, have nothing to hide. As I say, says Mera, you have no option to defend yourself about what is truly going on. Round and round we go, as we have done over numerous years, time-consuming and pointless. And then Mera goes on to promote his documentary. Sorry, Steve, but I gotta say, man, I've seen this contract, and I think it's extremely concerning that you are not addressing this at all. So I think it will be smart for you to address it. It's a letter of intent, and it comes from one of your main collaborators. I have proof that you do collaborate with this person. I think that there's also another major company that is linked to Mr. von Daniken, the author of Chariots of the Gods. And it does indeed confirm that you asked for exclusivity for this in December 2017. I am not going to show the contract here. I just want to let you know that I do have it already, and it does expose this of what Thierry speaks, and it speaks volumes that you're not addressing it at all. I would like some clarification. The people would like some clarification, because this is really going to hurt your image if you don't clarify that you were indeed trying to get exclusivity for this right after your first documentary that claims the bodies were real. So you're on blast right now, Mr. Mera. And I presented everything. I presented your comments on this. I'm not going to present your video because I don't want to get a copyright strike, because this is what happens, you know. I have nothing against you. I'm just presenting the data. But I think it is pretty telling that you are promoting your documentary in a discussion that is semi-private, because the group is public though. But I don't know, man. This is concerning to me. I hope you can clarify this and we can move forward, or this is going to look bad. And to all those people who have heard or listened to what people like Mr. Mera or others who are detractors of the mummies, I encourage you, go to the scientists, go to the data, go to the DNA analysis. That is the only way in which you're going to find out whether these are real or not. I've been talking to scientists who have investigated the bodies in person, and right now I still can't make a decision on whether these are real or not, but I am not willing to say that they're the biggest hoax in the 21st century. I cannot say that yet. Who knows? Maybe all of the scientists I'm speaking to are in on it. Right, Mr. Mera? It's a bad look. I'm not going to lie. So I hope we can get a response from you soon. But that's about it on the latest mummy update. And that's about it on the general update that we just got. Let me know what you think in the comments. What you think about that guide that law enforcement is getting on how to handle UFO reports. Let me know what you think on the upcoming congressional hearings that you heard about from Mr. Matt Laslo at Askaball. Let me know what you think about the Dick Cheney stuff after you see the Patrick's vetted live stream, which is very, very thorough. And what else? Let me know what you think about that name that keeps coming up on the Jay Stratton versus Lou Elizondo quote-unquote war, which I don't think it is. This person needs to also come forward, though. And also, please let me know what you think about this latest mummy update about Mr. Mera's takedown. I am going to leave it in the description so you guys can see it for yourselves. And with all the comments and all the reactions I got for you here, let me know what you think. If you like the content you see, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It all helps. Share this in any platform you like. YouTube loves this, so I would really appreciate it if you did. And please comment. Let me know what you think in the comments. Everything counts. And you guys are helping me out quite a lot. I wouldn't have known about Mr. Mera's recent video had it not been for one of your comments. So thank you very much. And yeah, we just hit 5,000 subscribers, guys. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart. Let's get some balloons in there. Yay! And then some lasers. Yay! So yeah, without further ado, I'll see you guys on tomorrow's video. Bye.